Thanks for letting me be here today, talk with you. I'm very excited to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is the Boy Scouting program. A lot of you, because you live in Utah, are probably somewhat familiar with how that program works. But I wanted to give you some other information today and talk about the benefits of any of the organizations you belong to or your businesses becoming involved with scouting, as we're trying to find new homes for a lot of the young men and young women that have been involved in the past with units chartered by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So a number of you could probably recite the Scout Oath and Law with me if I asked you to. That on my honor, I'll do my best to do my duty to God and my country, to obey the Scout Law, to help other people at all times, and to keep myself physically awake, mentally strong, physically awake, and morally straight. But you probably are not as familiar with some of the aims and methods of scouting. And these are things that we use in the Boy Scout program to deliver the mission of the Boy Scouts, which is to help prepare young men and young women to make moral and ethical choices over a lifetime by instilling in them the values of the Scout Oath and Law. We use the aims and the methods to deliver on that promise. And that's a promise that so many of the youth in our communities can benefit from, not just the ones that currently are involved. Now, Boy Scouting has been around since 1910. It's a fantastic program that has prepared a lot of young men and young women for careers in the FBI, in, as astronauts, as school teachers, of wide variety. It's a program that helps prepare young men and young women to do things that they never thought they could do before. It's an activity that takes young men and young women out and has them carry a 70-pound backpack up over a 12,000-foot mountain so that when they're taking their final exams in the future, it gives them some perspective on doing those hard things. And as I said, a number of our military, our FBI, astronauts, it's an experience that prepares so many of the leaders in both the big noteworthy things and the small things. Our fathers, our school teachers, our mayors. And here in our council, it has a very significant impact on the individual communities. As you can see here, there are more than 1 million hours of community service are provided to our council every year through unit service projects and Eagle Scout projects. We're able to provide over 80,000 meals every year from food drives that are performed by our Boy Scouts and our Cub Scouts. And every dollar that is invested is, as you know, we're a nonprofit, so every dollar that is donated to the Boy Scouts in our council provides a $6 return on that investment in service toward the community through unit service projects and Eagle Scout projects. So scouting provides a wonderful service not only in character building, in leadership development, and in physical fitness to the young people in our area, but also to the communities and the adults that are involved there. And while a lot of things have changed since Scouts was begun in 1910, you know, we don't do tracking and stalking activities quite as much as we do canyoneering and rappelling. One thing that has never changed is that we use the program of scouting to instill duty to God, duty to country, and duty to your community and your family in the young men and young women that choose to be involved. So why scouting? Scouting is a wonderful program that provides adventure, that provides leadership opportunities to young men and young women, while still having a good safety net there to catch them. The offerings that are available to scouting in and through scouting are much more varied and much wider than what you probably have seen the way that it's been executed in Utah in the past. There are all sorts of different activities from high adventure to STEM that are involved in this program to help young men and young women get the experiences to do hard things, to make friends, to push their limits, but also to discover and to become curious and to become inquisitive and be prepared for whatever future challenges face them in school, in work, and in society. So there are a few different programs that we use to deliver Boy Scouting, which you might be familiar with. One of them is Cub Scouting. And I should add right now that about a year and a half ago, on the International Day of the Girl, the Boy Scouts of America announced that all of their scouting programs would be available to young men and young women starting in 2019. And starting the beginning of this month, we were actually able to charter some of our first all-female scout troops. So Cub Scouting and Boy Scouting are now available to all young men and young women, but they are not co-ed programs. They are still separated into an all-female pack or an all-female troop so that those very important lessons that are learned at those ages can still be with their peers that are the same gender. So Cub Scouting is one of the most popular and most successful programs. It's an activity for the entire family, not just for the young man or young woman. It is available to young men and young women from actually kindergarten until 5th grade. But because the whole family gets involved in planning activities, going on campouts, building a Pinewood Derby car or a rain gutter regatta boat, it's one of the most fulfilling ways for parents and youth to get involved in scouting because it's an activity that involves the entire family. No one has to sit on the sidelines or cheer from the stands. Everyone can be involved. Now, Scouts BSA, formerly known as Boy Scouting, is the most traditional form of the Boy Scouts of America program. It's the uniform that Kyle here is wearing, the tan and the green, and that is, as I mentioned, now available to young men and young women. This focuses on advancement, on team building, on leadership, and culminates for many in the experience of achieving the Eagle Scout rank through developing leadership, physical fitness, character building, all sorts of challenging experiences. So, how many of you know an Eagle Scout? So you probably don't need a lot of explanation about this. As was shown in one of the other slides, there are about 2,000 Eagle Scouts that come out of our council every year, and they come out prepared to be leaders in their homes, in their fields, in their colleges, because they're able to focus on character, fitness, citizenship, leadership, and actually, as I like to tell the young men that come through my boards of review for their Eagle Scout rank, they learn not only to see a problem and say someone should do something about it, but they learn how to be that person. I tell them that when they leave with their Eagle Scout rank, never again should they see an issue and see a challenge and think that they don't have something that they can do. No matter how small it may be, doing something is better than doing nothing, and they're now empowered to know how to identify the problem, find a solution, and involve other people in that solution. It's a wonderful experience, and as I mentioned, it's now open to young women as well. And of course, venturing. How many of you have heard of venturing before? Not as many as know an Eagle Scout. That's a different uniform. That's this green and gray uniform. It is the only Boy Scouts of America program that is co-ed. It is intended for young men and young women, ages 14 to 20, or by the time they've finished 8th grade to 20, and it focuses much more on high adventure and on individual leadership building than some of our other programs do. It's a wonderful opportunity for our community because you're able to create venture crews, they're called crews rather than troops, that are focused on different areas of interest. We have a community venture crew here in Spanish Fork that is charged to the Chamber of Commerce that focuses on rock climbing, rappelling, and canyoneering. So many of their campouts and many of their high adventure experiences are involved in or have something to do with the rock climbing and the rappelling. And in fact, if some of you have heard of the name Charles Dahlquist, when he was the Young Men's General President, he was attending National Boy Scouts of America activities and met the young woman who was at the time the president of the Venturing Officers Association for the entire BSA. She was from that crew, and because of his involvement with her and how impressed he was with her, that is in large part why he has chosen to remain involved in the Boy Scouts of America after he was released from his position in the general church leadership. It's because of the influence of this venture crew. So that is one of the things that you are supporting by being involved in the chamber, and I thank you for that. There are lots of other activities and things, though, that venture crews can be involved in. You could have something focused on water sports. You could have a venture crew that is focused on backpacking, a venture crew that is focused on equestrian activities. And so when you're creating a venture crew, you tend to choose a specialty, and then youth will come to that venture crew based on what their interest area is. So now the question, though, all of these programs, what is the impact that it has on these youth? Does it work? And if so, how does it work? So I have a short video for you.
Everyone knows a goal of scouting is to prepare young people to succeed in life. But is it working? What if we can understand just how effective scouting is in shaping young minds?
Thanks to the John Templeton Foundation, the BSA was able to partner with Dr. Richard Lerner and his team from Tufts University to follow nearly 1,800 Cub Scouts for 3 years and compare them to nearly 400 boys of similar backgrounds who are not in Scouts. What they found was remarkable.
Cub Scouts showed significant positive development in attributes of being cheerful, helpful, kind, obedient, trustworthy, and hopeful.
But there were no significant increases in these character attributes among non-Scouts. In fact, non-Scouts reported decreased scores for the attribute of religious reverence.
Scouts were also more likely than non-Scouts to choose helping others or doing the right thing over being smart, being the best, or playing sports.
What's more, youth who participated in both sports and Scouting were more likely to choose these same values than those who only played sports.
And finally, the study showed that boys who spent more time in Scouting had higher positive character attributes.
Scouting builds positive character and provides young people with a foundation they can stand on to embrace opportunity and overcome obstacles.
With fun and discovery at every turn, Scouting makes the most of right now. Scouting works.
Thanks for your patience. Apparently I'm too low tech for this clicker. Now, part of why Scouting works is because of the program, but one thing that I do want to add, a number of youth, not a number, every single young man and young woman out there needs some important adult in their life that is not one of their parents, whether that's a coach or a teacher or a church leader. And the more of those significant adults they have in their lives, the better outcomes that they tend to have in their lives. And that is one of the most important things that Scouting can offer, is an opportunity for young men and young women to be involved with good adults that are good examples to them, that are not their parents. I think probably every one of you can think of a coach, a music teacher, a school teacher, or somebody that had a significant impact on your life that was not related to you. And one of the benefits that Scouting offers is an opportunity to have your children around adults like that are following the Scout Oath and Law, that believe in their duty to God, that have all of those good character attributes that you want for your children. Now, chartering organizations are who we rely on to deliver the promise of Scouting. There is no, unlike some of the other youth organizations, there is not a Boy Scout troop organized by the Boy Scouts, by myself. We don't run or own any of these troops. They're all organized by and organized under chartering organizations. Many of those chartering organizations are faith-based organizations, such as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or a Catholic church, a Lutheran church. But 22% currently are civic and community organizations. That can be businesses, that can be nonprofit organizations, that can be the Spanish Fort Gun Club, for example, or the Kiwanis Club, or, as we know, the Chamber of Commerce. And 8% are educational organizations such as a PTO or a PTA. So what are the benefits to your organization becoming a chartering organization? Well, first of all, you're able to meet the needs of youth, which is a great service. You're able to meet the needs of your community as well. As we mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, the impact of Scouting goes a long way in the community, in providing service, in providing meals to families in need, and all sorts of different ways that you need enthusiastic young people to rally together to make something happen. That's where Scouting steps in and makes things happen. And not to mention, it meets your own needs. Whether you're a business or a nonprofit organization, Scouting will increase the visibility of your organization. It will involve new people in your organization, bring new people into your place of business, or get your name out there as it's on t-shirts that are worn by Boy Scouts. The responsibilities of a chartered organization can be as involved as you'd like them to be, but there are just a few minimal things that are asked of and required of a chartering organization. One is to provide a liaison between the organization and the Scouting unit. And that's somebody who will help to approve the applications, to make sure that everything is being delivered in a safe manner, which is another one of the requirements. Lance is actually our chartering organization representative for the Chamber, and some of you, if you are involved in a unit that is chartered to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you have a chartered organization representative in your bishopric who helps to oversee the Scouting program in that unit. You may not have meeting facilities or a place to meet in your business or in your organization, but they would ask that you work with the adult volunteers to help find a place that people can meet. And utilizing the program to build youth character is probably the most important responsibility that you have as an organization. You, your liaison, and the adults, the leadership of your unit are able to decide what things you want to emphasize and how you want to deliver the program of scouting. There's so much to choose from. There's a huge menu, and you can choose which things you want to pick out and use, from choosing whether you want to have an all-girls troop or an all-boys troop or both, to deciding what merit badges you want to specialize in or what kinds of things you want your venture crew to do on their adventures. Now, if you choose to start a new unit, which would be a great service to a lot of the youth in our area, you would first start by building your support structure or identifying adult leadership, which is something that I can help you with. There are a number of people that have said, hey, we want to keep a unit going, but we need an organization that can charter us. So I have those connections, and I'm just trying to make sure that they get in touch with the right organizations. You would then want to identify some meeting facilities, whether that's in someone's home or in a school building or in a civic building or in your business. You'd then recruit youth, which is, again, something that I can help with. You'd need to submit the applications, the membership applications and your new unit application, and the $40 charter fee, which can come from you or come from fundraising within the unit. And then you'll want to plan a 3-month calendar of some activities just so that people know what they're getting themselves into as far as the youth. And again, that can be done by the adult volunteers. Then you want to recruit some youth and then get going and have a great scouting adventure. So, in closing, scouting really does make a difference in the lives of the youth that get involved, in the adults that get involved, in their communities. And I'd like to invite you to consider letting it make a difference in your organizations and in your businesses.
Thank you.